Hey, well, it's been a little while since I've done a review on here, so I thought I'd do a review of Saw X, which I saw last week. X being the Roman numeral for 10, of course, this is the 10th film in the Saw franchise. A lot of the same people are returning for this installment. Tobin Bell, of course, is here as Jigsaw, John Kramer. And there are appearances by Costas Mandylor and Shawnee Smith, returning once more as Hoffman and Amanda Young, respectively. The director is Kevin Greutert, at least I think that's how you pronounce his name, who has edited most, if not all, of the other Saw movies, and who directed Saw 6 and 7. The writers of the last few movies in the franchise, Pete Goldfinger and Josh Stolberg, are also providing the script for this one, and the story takes a different turn. In most of the other Saw movies, John is either talked about or seen as a kind of mastermind behind the scenes, but in this film, he is front and center. We find him having been diagnosed with cancer for some time, in his last months as it were, and he hears about a revolutionary new treatment in Mexico which could cure his condition. However, this turns out to be, shall we say, not as advertised, and the games begin once more. There are some wonderful human touches provided by Tobin Bell in this movie. Kramer seems like a very good man, and a more likable character than we've encountered in the past. He just has a psychotically warped sense of morality. He seems to like and is liked by many of the people he comes into contact with, and speaks calmly, politely, and intelligently about a range of subjects, including his own illness. However, when it turns out that the cure he's paid for is less than honest, the old Jigsaw we know and love returns. Never cruel for the sake of it, Kramer is calculating and ruthless, determined to, above all, show those that would wrong him and others the error of their ways. The traps here are gory and unpleasant, of course, but for me they play second fiddle to the story, which is compelling. How unprincipled people can prey on the hope of the desperate to make money, and how they, like Kramer, can switch from being caring to cold in an instant. One of my favourite things about this series as a whole, with the exception of Spiral, is Charlie Clouser's music. At once dramatic and menacing, the blend of orchestral and electronic elements produce a score that is recognisable and memorable. We as the audience know that when a particular sequence of notes is played, that we are building up to the crescendo of the movie, even as the music reaches its peak. Here, the music reflects the cultural flavour of the story, enriching the pieces further with a Spanish theme, particularly during the closing credits. All of this, of course, is the good stuff, but, of course, this is not a perfect film. Personally, I think we get to empathise with Kramer a little too much, and his interactions with a child in particular are a little too heroic, or they seem a little too heroic. That being said, they're reflective of his character. He seems to be a good man at heart. He just has his own way of teaching people to value their lives. Again, there is no discussion here of how the tumour he has been diagnosed with might be affecting his actions. Has the cancer altered his moral capacity, or has he himself changed as an act of will in response to it? I would like to see that examined at least in passing, in maybe in a future movie if they're going to make any more. Also, while I would say that this is the best Goldfinger-Stoll collaboration in the franchise, I think that the tone is once again too far removed from that of the first 7 films to be considered anything but an adjacent story set in that universe. Gone, for the most part, are the links to past movies or to ones that may come in the future, making this film feel rather disconnected, similar to Jigsaw and Spiral from the Book of Saw in that respect. It also feels too big in my mind for a Saw movie. I don't know what the budget was, but I would imagine it was substantial in comparison to many of the other films, and it looks a little too clean somehow for a film of this nature. The end of the film also stretches credibility somewhat. The final game, while elements of it are indeed predictable, makes Kramer's character seem almost clairvoyant in a way that some of the other films in the series manage to balance out. Also, the post-credit cutscene is a little too humorous in a way, and doesn't stick to the rules, quote-unquote, of what we know John's character to be. Perhaps someone else in the scene made that particular trap. Finally, I understand that this film takes place between Saw and Saw 2. To me, it would make more sense if it was set between Saw 2 and Saw 3. We know that he hasn't got long to live, and it would just fit better before we see him at the end of his life in Saw 3, in my opinion. In conclusion, then, this is very much a Saw movie, but the nature of it is different from those in the main body of the series. Instead of the game being to teach an overall lesson that is revealed throughout the film, here we know why the game is being played from the start, and it is absolutely personal. We see Kramer as human in this piece rather than as an elusive mastermind, and ultimately we come to care for him as much as that is possible, by the end coming to see him as the hero of the piece, given the people he's dealing with, which is a dramatic shift in tone. Whether that shift is too much for some audience members, I don't know. For me, it was a possible misstep. Having said that, though, I did enjoy this movie, and I think it's one that many fans of the franchise will appreciate, particularly given the time that it's set at, between the first and second movies. As always, however, and with all the above being said, I hope you enjoyed this review of Saw X. Please like, share, comment and subscribe, and I'll speak to you soon. I should mention, actually, that I now have a second channel, Newbie Do Gaming, where I play through video games in my own rather clumsy and haphazard way. So, if that sounds like something that might appeal to you, please check it out and subscribe. It would really help, and I'll leave the details of the channel at the end of this review. Either way, thank you very much for watching, and bye for now.